Chapter 5. I couldn't stand around gawking at the facade forever. Whatever this building was, the address was correct, as was the name, for the most part. And anyway, I had a reservation, right? There was nothing to do but go in. I walked up the gently sloped driveway and pushed my way through the shiny brass revolving door. The lobby was large enough to be a gymnasium, the ceiling at least 2 stories high. A wall of glass rose the full height, and through it cascaded a brilliant shower of sunlight. The floor space was appointed with a fleet of luxurious designer sofas, between which were stationed planters of ornamental trees, lots of them. The overall decor focused on an oil painting, three tatami mats large, of some Hokkaido marshland. Nothing outstanding artistically but impressive, if only for its size. At the far end of the lobby, a posh coffee bar beckoned. The sort of place where you order a sandwich and they bring you four deville ham dandies arrayed like a calling card on a silver tray with an embellishment of potato crisps and cornichons. Throw in a cup of coffee and you're spending enough to buy a frugal family of four a midday meal. The lobby was crowded. Apparently, a function was in progress. A group of well dressed, middle aged men sat on the facing sofa, nodding and smiling magnanimously, jaws thrust out, legs crossed identically. A professional organization, doctors or university professors. On their periphery, perhaps they were part of the same gathering, cooed a clutch of young women in formal dress, some of them in kimono, some in floor length dresses. There were a few Westerners as well, not to mention the requisite salarymen in dark suits and harmless ties, attache cases in hand. In a word, business was booming at the new Dolphin Hotel. What we had here was a hotel founded on a proper outlay of capital and now enjoying proper returns. But how the hell had this come about? Well, I could guess, of course. Having once put together a PR bulletin for a hotel chain, I knew the whole process. Before a hotel of this scale is built, someone first costs out every aspect of the venture in detail. Then consultants are called in and every piece of information is input into their computers for a thorough simulation study. Everything, including the wholesale price and usage volume of toilet paper, is taken into account. Then students are hired to go around the city, Sapporo in this case, to do a market survey. They stop young men and women on the street and ask how many weddings they expect to attend each year. You get the picture. Little is left unchecked, all in an effort to reduce business risk. So the Hotel Dolphin project team had gone to great lengths over many months to draw up as precise a plan as possible. They bought the property, they assembled the staff, they pinned down flash advertising space. If money was all it took, and they were convinced they'd make that money back, there'd be no ends of funds pouring in. It's big business of a big order. Now, the only enterprises that could embark on such a big business venture were the huge conglomerates. Because even after barring away the risks, there's bound to be some hidden factor of uncertainty lurking around, which only a major player can conceivably observe. To be honest, this Dolphin Hotel wasn't my kind of hotel. Or at least, under normal circumstances, if I had to choose a place to stay, I wouldn't go for one that looked like this. The rates are too high, too much padding, too much frills, but this time the die had been cast. I went to the front desk and gave my name, whereupon three light blue-blazered young women with toothpaste commercial smiles greeted me. This smile training surely figured into the capital outlay. With their virgin snow-white blouses and immaculate hairstyles, the receptionists were picture perfect. Of the three, one wore glasses, which of course suited her nicely. When she stepped out over to me, I actually felt a shot of relief. She was the prettiest and most immediately likable. There was something about her expression I responded to, some embodiment of hotel spirit. I half expected her to produce a tiny magic wand, like in a Disney movie, and tap out swirls of diamond dust. But instead of a magic wand, she used a computer and swiftly typing in my name and credit card number, then verifying the details on the display screen. Then she handed me my card key, room number 1523. I smiled as I accepted the hotel brochure from her. When had the hotel opened? I asked. Last October, she answered, almost in reflex. It was now in its 5th month of operation. You know, I began, donning my professional smile. I seem to remember a small hotel with a similar name in this location a few years ago. Do you have any idea what became of it? A slight disturbance clouded her smile. Quiet ripples spread across her face, as if a beer bottle had been tossed into a sacred spring. By the time the ripples subsided, her reassumed smile was a shade less cheerful than before. I observed the changes with great interest. Would the sprite of the spring now appear to ask whether the item I disposed of had a gold or silver twist top? Well, now, she hesitated, touching the bridge of her glasses with her index finger. That was before we opened our doors, so I really couldn't. Her words cut off. I waited for her to continue, but she didn't. I'm terribly sorry, she said. Oh, I said. Seconds went by. I found myself liking her. I wanted to touch the bridge of my glasses as well, except that I wasn't wearing any glasses. Well, then, is there anyone you can ask? She held her breath a second, thinking it over. The smile vanished. It's exceedingly difficult to hold your breath and keep smiling. Just try it if you don't believe me. I'm terribly sorry, she said again, but would you mind waiting a bit? Then she retreated through a door. 30 seconds later, she returned with a 40-ish man in a black suit, a real-life hotelier by the looks of him. I'd met enough of them in my line of work. They are a dubious species, with a 25 different smiles on call for every variety of circumstance, from the cool and cordial twinge of disinterest to the measured grin of satisfaction. They wield the entire arsenal by number, like golf clubs for particular shots. May I help you, please? He said, sending a mid-range smile my way with a polite bow of the head. When he noted my attire, however, the smile was quickly adjusted down 3 notches. I was wearing my 4-line hunting jacket with a Keith Harrington button pinned to the chest, an Austrian Army issue Alps Corps fur cap, a rough and ready pair of hiking trousers with lots of pockets, and snow-tire treaded work boots. All fine and practical items of dress, but just a tad unsuitable for this hotel lobby. No fault of mine, only a difference in lifestyle. You had a question concerning our hotel, I believe, he voiced most properly. I put both hands on the counter and repeated my query. The man cast a glance at my Mickey Mouse watch with the same clinical unease a vet might direct at a cat's sprained paw. Might I inquire? He regained his composure to speak. Why you wish to know about the previous hotel? If you don't mind my asking, that is. I explained as simply as I could. A good while back, I had stayed at the old Dolphin Hotel and gotten to know the owner. Now, years later, I visit and everything's completely changed, which makes me wonder what happened to the old guy. The man nodded attentively. In all honesty, I'm not entirely clear of the details myself. He chose his words guardedly. Nevertheless, my understanding of the history of this hotel is that our concerns purchased the property where the previous Dolphin Hotel stood and erected on the site what we now have before us. As you can see, the name was for all intents and purposes retained, but let me assure you that the management is altogether separate, with no relation whatsoever to its predecessor. Then why keep the name? You must forgive me, I'm afraid I really don't. And I suppose you wouldn't have any idea where I could find the former owner? I am sorry, but no, I do not, he answered, moving on to his smile number 16. Is there anyone else I could ask? Someone who might know? Since you insist, the man began, straining his neck slightly. We are merely employees here, and accordingly we are strictly out of touch with any goings-on prior to when the current premises opened for business. So unfortunately, if someone such as yourself desires to know anything more specific, there's really very little. Certainly, what he said made sense, yet something caught in the back of my mind. Something artificial, manufactured really, about the responses from both the young man and the stiff now fielding my questions. I couldn't put my finger on anything exactly, yet I couldn't swallow the line. Do your share of interviews and you get this professional sixth sense. That tone of voice when someone's hiding something. That knowing expression of someone who's lying. No real evidence to go on, only a hunch that there was more here than being said. Still, it was clear that nothing more would come from pushing them further. I thanked the man. He excused himself and withdrew. After his black suit had vanished from view, I asked the young woman about meals and room service, and she went on at length. While she spoke, I peered straight into her eyes. Beautiful eyes. I swear I almost began to see things in them. But when she met my gaze, she blushed, which made me like her even more. Why was that? Was it that hotel spirit in her? Whatever, I thanked her, turned away and took the elevator up to my floor. Room 1523 proved to be quite a room. Both the bed and the bath were far too big for a single. A full complement of shampoo, conditioner, and aftershave was provided, as was a bathrobe. The refrigerator was chock full of snacks. There was an ample writing desk with plenty of stationery and envelopes. The closet was large, the carpet deep piled. I took off my coat and boots and picked up the hotel brochure. Quite a production. They hadn't spared any expense on this job. The Hotel Dauphin represents a wholly new development in quality city center lodgings, the brochure stated, complete with the latest conveniences and full 24-hour services. Our guest rooms are spacious and sumptuously styled, featuring the finest selection of products, a restful atmosphere, and a warm at-home feeling. Professional space with a human face. In other words, they'd spent a lot of money, so the rates were high. Indeed, this was a very well turned out hotel. A big shopping arcade in the basement, an indoor pool, sauna, and tanning salon, tennis courts, a health club with training coaches, and exercise equipment, conference rooms outfitted for simultaneous translation, 5 restaurants, 3 lounges, even a late night cafe, not to mention a limousine service, free workspace, unlimited business supplies available to all guests. Anything you would want, they'd thought of, and then some. A rooftop heliport, intelligent facilities in an impeccable decor. But what of the commercial group that owned and operated this hotel? I reread the brochure from cover to cover, not one mention of the management. Odd, to say the least. It was unthinkable that any but the most experienced hotel chain could run a top flight operation like this, and any enterprise of such scale would be certain to stamp its name everywhere and take every opportunity to promote its full line of hotels. You stay at one Prince Hotel, and the brochure lists every Prince Hotel in the whole of Japan. That's how it is. And then there was still the question, why would a hotel of this class take on the name of a dump like the old Dolphin? I couldn't come up with even a flake of an answer to that one. I threw the brochure onto the table, fell back into the sofa with my feet kicked up, and looked out my 15th story window. All I could see was blue sky. I felt like I was flying. All this was fine, but I missed the old dive. There had been a lot to see from those windows.